Hey guys, welcome to our first take on God of War Ascension. I'm Daniel Bloodworth.
I'm Chris Wynn.
And we're going to tell you about what we got to see at our first look of the game and the multiplayer reveal. We didn't actually get any hands-on time with the multiplayer, but they were playing it live. But the way they set it up was that they played the teaser again, and then they had this real close-up shot of one of the player characters, and they made it look like it was, maybe it's Kratos and he has a different art style or something like that. And then they started playing what essentially looked like your typical God of War reveal, with the guy versus big Cyclops. And then a little bit into it, they brought out another guy. And so you've got two players teaming up on this Cyclops, and then eventually, they slash him through the chest, and his ribs are exposed, and his intestines spill out and stuff like that. And they go down the hallway, and then they get to the main event, essentially. And what's interesting is because of the way they set it up, we weren't entirely sure what we were seeing, right? It's multiplayer. We knew we were probably going to see something multiplayer, but we weren't sure if we were seeing co-op or competitive or exactly what this was. So for much of this time that we saw this, I was under the impression that it was two guys beating a bunch of AI up in this arena. And then later on they revealed that, yeah, this was a full 4-on-4 human match. Did you get the same kind of feeling?
The entire demo that we saw, I completely thought it was actually a co-op level, like two, buddy going through and destroying, NPCs and like cleaving them and everything like that. And then when they showed four Spartans taking down the big beast, which is a win condition for the multiplayer, I realized, wait, there was 4 people. I was putting two and two together, and those enemies were actually people, not a bunch of NPCs. Okay, because it looks definitely like, a God of War game.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that throws people off the most is like people are like, well, what is it like? And I'm like, by watching it, it looks like God of War. Like it doesn't look like some other game or that they've done something weird, But and from what they're describing, there's like rock paper scissors mechanics to it. So like one of your moves will be like a guard break or something, and then you'll somebody will have to dodge that rather than guarding, and so there's some element to that where you're able to read other people's attacks. But essentially, the way that the map was set up is that you come into this area, and there's this huge Cyclops, which he kind of referred to as a Megalops, but that's not the official name, in the background, and he's chained up. And so each team, I guess, has the opportunity to control these gears. And so you kind of wind these gears in to pull the Cyclops towards your side of the map. And so they were doing that, and they were like creating these like defensive shield bubbles, and other people were trying to defend them while they were cranking the gears. And then once they got the second gear cranked, then this Spear of Olympus or whatever came down, and they were able to use that as like a throwing weapon. And the guys on the map, they had different ones. I saw like a 3-pronged blade. I saw a hammer. Saw chains. What else? Did you see any other weapons?
I can't think of anything else. Yeah.
And then once they had the throwing spear, then they moved up to where the Cyclops was, and the Cyclops had his hand on like the side of the platform, and they were basically beating on the Cyclops' hand because I guess what the Cyclops was doing, he was trying to pull against the chains, push himself away from that platform. So once they knocked all of his fingers off and knocked his hand off, then he kind of like his face bashed into the side and gave the player an opportunity to jump onto his face and like slash his jaw in half, and his jaw was like dangling and blood spilling everywhere. And then at the very end, there were essentially 3 players took chains to the Cyclops, and then the fourth was about to jab the spear into his eye. But it sounds like from what we're getting from our interviews and things is that even while you're on that last bit with the Cyclops, like the other team is still attacking you, still trying to keep you from killing the Cyclops, because that's basically the win goal. Whichever team gets to kill the Cyclops first.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent to like your familiar multiplayer game types. So pretty much, yeah, the gears that were littered around the map, they're kind of territories. So you have to control the territories, change them to your team's color, When you change all the territories to your team's color, it reels in the monster for your team to kill. And that's pretty much a very quick summary of what you were describing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so some of the other things that came out from the descriptions is that Kratos is not part of the multiplayer. These are all just a bunch of other warriors,
Spartans
from,
versus Trojans.
Troy and Sparta, and there's a tutorial that kind of will give you the gist of the gameplay, and within that you'll also give your allegiance to one of the four gods that they've picked, and I don't remember all of them. I know, Zeus.
I don't even remember
Mars
Hades.
one of them?
Hades was the one that.
Hades was for sure one of them. And all of that stuff will kind of tie into your character and your character progression. So your abilities, your armor sets, all of these different things that you'll upgrade in time, and they're still working out some of the details on that.
Everything you do is themed once you make your allegiance. So whenever you die, you actually get pulled down, into Hades. That's like kind of like your death animation. And whenever you resurrect, you're climbing out of the ground to kind of further imply you're elite, you're allied with Hades. That's how you do. They said all the allegiances will have their own kind of feel and aesthetic to them, but it also goes into the play style too. So similar to how you'll have like different classes and stuff in other multiplayer games, this is basically your allegiance. So Hades, they said like Hades will be like a big DPS kind of guy. Maybe glass cannon. I'm guessing maybe a glass cannon type of person. But then they said like another allegiance will be kind of tanky, and it's supposed to be like finding your role into making your team win. Having a good team dynamic between different allegiances will probably benefit a lot.
So that's kind of an interesting part of like kind of the overall progression of the game. And one of the things that I thought was kind of insightful on their part is that they didn't make this really story-based. They said that they didn't want to have a story-based or a co-op kind of thing because they feel that when they have that kind of multiplayer, what people will do is they will play through it once or twice, and then because they've seen the story, they feel like they've got their fill and they never come back to it. And they want this to be like a real, like, ongoing competitive space.
Their main goal was to bring replayability to big set piece moments. That was the big point they were trying to drive across. With multiple people, like actual players helping you, give you reason to do that over and over again. So that was the main reason why they were.
Yeah, it's really bringing all of that, that scale and that